There is something wrong with the homeless in my city. I work the AM shift at a hotel in Santa Monica. It's a fairly popular 4-star hotel that faces directly out to the ocean. I honestly love my job. I work at the front desk and am met with a beautiful view of the ocean through the entrance doors which lie directly in front of the desk. To the right of the desk is a small side entrance to the lobby, along with a pair of windows that are pretty high up and unreachable from the outside. The hotel has been dead lately since nobody is traveling right now due to COVID. I spend my day browsing Reddit and catching up on homework. Santa Monica is a great city, but it has a large homeless population. It is very common to see homeless people walking past the hotel. Sometimes they even walk in, look around, then walk out. Other times, you can hear them outside screaming at nothing. This is all very common in Santa Monica. Sometimes if I see a homeless person without shoes, I'll go and buy them a pair. My heart goes out to all these homeless people. They're human after all, right? April 10th, 2020. This is my first diary entry. I don't even know why I started this, but I guess I have a lot of thoughts and want a place to store them. Today was a pretty normal day at work. Just the usual. A couple homeless people walking by the hotel, some other homeless dude across the street screaming at a lamppost, etc. I've just been browsing Reddit, but I got bored and wanted to start writing out how my day went. Some homeless dude walked into the hotel, but ran out as soon as he realized there was someone in here. April 11th, 2020. Today was a slow day, but something weird happened. At 3 p.m., the PM person came to relieve me for my shift. Her name was Anna, and I've always thought she was beautiful. She was coughing a lot when she arrived. Her hair was also a mess, and she looked like she'd seen a ghost. I joked and said Corona. I didn't get a response from her. I saw tears start falling from her eyes. "What's wrong?" I asked. She broke down crying and then lifted her leg up. She had long socks on that went up to her knees, but you couldn't really tell because of the dress pants she had on. She rolled her pants up and rolled her sock down slowly. An infected bite mark on her calf was revealed to me. It was swollen and pulsating. The remnants of a Band-Aid fell onto the floor. I told her she needs to go home. I'll stay and cover her shift. She refused, though. She said she really needs money for rent this month, and she needs this shift. "I'll be fine," she told me. She then went on and explained that before work, she parked here at work and walked over to a gas station nearby to pick up a Monster Energy drink. Sitting outside the door to the gas station was a homeless man with bloodshot eyes. As she was walking in, he flung himself towards her leg and took a bite out of it. She kicked him in the face really hard, breaking his nose and sending blood gushing onto her shoes. Luckily, she had spare shoes in the back of her car. "That sounds horrible. I'm so sorry you went through that," I said. I asked one last time, "Do you want to go home?" And she was sure that she wanted to stay. So I left. April 12th, 2020. Today, a group of homeless people walked by the hotel. One of them didn't have shoes. I decided that after work, I'll try to find him and get him some shoes. I don't think any living human should have to walk around the streets barefoot. April 12th, 2020. Well, I found him, or whatever was left of him. Let me explain. I was driving home after work when I saw the same homeless man I had seen earlier. He was lying back against a wall in an alley. Weird though, he had red socks on. He didn't have them on earlier. I parked my car and started walking over to him so I could potentially get his shoe size. As I got closer to him, I came across a sight that sent chills down my spine and made my stomach churn. Those weren't red socks. His feet were mangled and were covered in blood. There was bone ripping through the skin that once covered his feet and were now dangling off of the bone. He had blood all over his shirt, and his skin looked deteriorated. His skin looked very fleshy, as if multiple layers of his had been peeled off. His jaw was broken and his eyes were bloodshot red. He didn't look alive. He was limp and his head was facing down, but his eyes were wide open. I got scared, quickly called the cops, and before I ran away, I had to take a picture. My camera covered his entire body, but my eyes were only focused on the bone that was sticking out of his foot. I got my picture, ran back to my car, and drove home. April 13th, 2020. I'm at work again. I'm fine, barely even thinking about the other day. I feel like I'm desensitized to stuff like this. I forgot I had even taken a picture. The reason I'm writing again is because today was a weird day. I mentioned how it was common for homeless people to walk past the hotel, but today was different. It wasn't once in a while. I literally couldn't go 5 minutes without seeing homeless people stumbling past the hotel. I knew Santa Monica had a lot, but it just seemed like they multiplied overnight. April 16th, 2020. On the way to work today, the streets had significantly more homeless people than it did before. They were everywhere, and they all had those same bloodshot eyes as the first deceased homeless guy did. They looked lifeless, just limping and stumbling around the streets. April 18th, 2020. On the way to work, I noticed something worrying. There were no cars anywhere. The entire city of Santa Monica did not have a single car in it or a single person walking around. This city is usually thriving. Santa Monica only has outdoor malls, so there are usually hundreds of people walking around despite COVID. But today, there was not a single person or car in sight. Only homeless people, everywhere. We ended up having 0 check-ins that day. Almost every employee no-showed except the security guard, Alan. April 19th, 2020. On my way to work today, I was almost late because there were a bunch of detours due to construction going on all over the outskirts of the city. Weird. I worked my first PM shift. Anna, no call, no showed, so I had to stay. She has never missed a shift in her life. Weird. Anyway, at night we turn the lights in the lobby down very low. Earlier I mentioned that sometimes a homeless person will walk into the lobby, look around, and then leave right after. Well, tonight, I was sitting at the front desk when I heard a very disturbing sound. It sounded like bone crunching and scraping against the floor. It also sounded like it was getting closer until the front door to the lobby opened. A homeless-looking man limped into the lobby. He had a hoodie on over his head. I couldn't see his face, only darkness underneath the hood. There was one feature of his face that I could see, and that was his bloodshot eyes that were as wide as they could go. He walked into the lobby and just stood there hunched over staring at me. I asked him if I could assist him, but he didn't say anything. I was very uncomfortable, and without taking my eyes off of him, I was trying to find my radio to call over security. I could hear him breathing. It was a very raspy sound, as if his lungs were filled with fluid. He was standing behind one of the sofas in the lobby, so I could only see him from the waist up. I finally got a hold of my radio, and as soon as I clicked the button to speak, the man let out the loudest, most inhumane and blood-curdling scream I have ever heard in my life. It caught me off guard, causing me to flinch and drop my radio. He stopped screaming and instead started making a raspy grunting sound. He started limping his way over to me, and again I heard that disgusting sound of crunching bones. That's when I saw his mangled feet with bones sticking out of them. They looked exactly like the dead homeless man I had encountered 10 days ago. Luckily, security heard the screams and came rushing up. Our security guard, Alan, was the nicest guy I'd ever met. He was also 5 feet 10 inches and around 300 pounds. He saw the homeless guy limping towards me and grabbed him by his hoodie. He successfully dragged the homeless guy to the entrance, but he had to use one arm to open the door. That's when the homeless guy shook loose, grabbed a hold of Alan, and took a chunk out of his neck. The entrance door was still open. I ran over and drop-kicked the homeless guy out of the door. Hurt my elbow pretty bad when I landed, but I didn't want to get anywhere near that psycho. I got Alan's keys and locked all entrances to the hotel. April 19th, 2020. Alan bled out on the floor. Every other employee no-call no-showed. It was only him and I. I received an emergency alert on my phone urging Santa Monica residents not to leave their homes. The alert said Santa Monica was undergoing a citywide lockdown and anybody caught outside their homes will be taken to jail. I tried calling the Santa Monica Police Department, but when I called it would just say that due to high volume of calls, I would have to wait until an operator is available. I left the phone on for 20 minutes and still nothing. On the other phone, I called 911, and once they asked me for the location of my emergency and I said Santa Monica, they would just hang up. I noticed a crowd of homeless people now surrounded the hotel. Through the front entrance, there were homeless people, all with bloodshot eyes, going as far back as I could see, just standing there, staring and groaning. The side entrance had the same thing, as did the employee entrance. There was no other possible way out of the hotel. April 19th, 2020. I decided to check my camera roll to see what the deceased homeless guy from 10 days ago was wearing, to see if it matched the one that was currently at the front entrance staring at me. I brought up the picture, and what I saw made me drop my phone. Remember how I mentioned that the homeless person was dead, looking down towards the floor when I saw him in the alley? And how when I snapped the picture, my eyes were focused on the bone sticking out of his foot? Well, when I saw the picture in my camera roll, the dead, homeless guy was staring directly into the camera. And it was the same one that was currently at the entrance of the hotel. April 19th, 2020. Alan might still be alive. He's still on the floor with a pool of blood around him, but I saw his fingers moving and his body shaking. His eyes are still wide open with the same look of horror he had when he bled out and died. But they become bloodshot red. It also looks like a few layers of his skin were pulled off because his skin is looking very fleshy. Why is there nothing on the news about what's going on? I'm Googling it, but there's nothing. April 19th, 2020. I felt uncomfortable when I saw Alan convulsing on the floor, so I went downstairs to grab the baton out of the security office. When I came back to the lobby, I didn't see Alan. I saw the pool of blood on the floor along with the chunk of his neck that was ripped out, but didn't see him. All that was different was a set of bloody footprints. I followed them, and they led to the closed door of the bathroom. Due to COVID, we closed our public bathrooms. I tried to use the men's one once, but the light stopped working in it, and engineering didn't want to fix it since nobody is supposed to be using it. So when I slowly creaked the door open, it was completely pitch black inside the bathroom. I couldn't see inside, but whatever was inside would definitely be able to see me. Alan, I shouted into the bathroom. No response. Just in case, I flicked the light switch, but the lights were unresponsive as well. The door to the bathroom is a heavy one that closes on its own. I hesitantly took a few steps into the bathroom, and the door shut behind me. I was standing in pure black. My phone was out of battery, and I had no charger, and the only flashlight was in a locked safe in the security office. The smell in the bathroom made me want to vomit. It wasn't a typical bathroom kind of smell. It was a bathroom with 50 decomposing bodies kind of smell. I heard fast and raspy breathing, but the acoustics in the bathroom are fucked up, and I couldn't tell where it was coming from. Sweat was protruding through every pore in my body as I tightened my grip on the metal baton in my hand. The humidity and the smell in the bathroom was really getting to me. I let out a quick and desperate whisper, "Alan," and of course I was given no response. I knew the layout of the bathroom, so light wasn't important in navigation. It was only important in not being murdered by a 5 feet 10 inches, 300-pound dude. I'm 6 feet 6 inches myself, but I'm only 180 pounds. So I was at a disadvantage, even with the baton. Despite that, I reached out to the first stall. I slowly placed my sweat-drenched hand over the handle, and right as I started to pull, the raspy breathing discontinued. It was completely quiet, dead silent. I pulled the door open, and that's when I heard the same blood-curdling scream that the homeless man earlier let out. I also could see 2 red circles in the stall. I threw my baton at it and sprinted out of the bathroom. I got 2 heavy metal trash cans and put them in front of the door. The door opens inwards, so that didn't block it, but at least I would hear if the trash cans were moved. I ran back to the front desk. April 20th, 2020. I've been hearing banging on the walls for the past hour. Sounds like it's coming from the bathroom. It's already 12 a.m. at this point, and to no surprise, the overnight person has not arrived for their shift 1 hour ago. There are so many homeless people outside that they're literally piled up. I can't see a foot past the front doors because it's literally just a pile of these red-eyed homeless people piled up on top of each other staring into the hotel. I'm glad they're too dumb to think to break the glass. I went downstairs to check if they were still grouped up outside the garage, and of course they were. They were completely piled up over each other at the gate of the garage. I don't think a truck would have even been able to clear that out. April 20th, 2020. I took the stairs up to the roof of the hotel. It feels safer up here. I don't know why I didn't do it earlier. It's 1 a.m. now. While I look down from the roof, I see homeless stretched out in every direction for miles. I see something that strikes even more confusion in me, though. I see helicopters. They're not near me, though. They seem to be on the outskirts of the city. Actually, I can't even see past the outskirts of the city. It's just black. I can see the sky past the city. But directly ahead, It seems like there is just a wall of black surrounding the city. A wall of black. A wall. Did they close the city off? Is that why I haven't seen a single car or a single person? I feel like I would have known if they closed the city off. I don't even live in this city. I had to drive in. How is it possible that they put a wall up in the span of a day? There was no wall when I arrived. The only thing out of the ordinary was the construction that made me late for my shift. The construction. Am I stuck here? April 20th, 2020. I got an idea. I went down to the engineering area and grabbed their storage of fuel for the fireplaces. I went down to the food and beverage department and got a few bottles of vodka. Lastly, I went to housekeeping and got a few towels. I took my tools up to the roof of the hotel, directly over the garage. As I was going up the stairs, I heard some loud metal crashing sound, but I didn't think much of it. I heard lots of noises today. Anyway, I used the computers to show me how to make a Molotov cocktail. I emptied the bottles, filled them with fuel, shoved the towel inside, lit the towel, and I let it rain. I dropped 5 bottles of the stuff down, and that did a good job of scattering the homeless. I hope I won't be put in prison for this. I didn't really have a choice. I quickly ran down to the garage and got into my car. I guess I forgot to lock my car. Weird, just in case I checked the back seat, but there was nothing. April 20th, 2020. I rammed into the gate with my car. All the homeless that were piled up in front had been scattered due to my cocktails, so there was nothing stopping me. They were still everywhere though, and I did not hesitate to run over any homeless person in my path. It was dark out. Half the street lights were off or flickering, and all I could see were bodies and red eyes. I couldn't go 3 seconds without hearing a thump and feeling my car go up and down. April 20th, 2020. I'm driving out of this city. I'm almost to the outskirts. On the way here, I've seen unimaginable horrors. There was blood on every building and every street, like some fucked up graffiti. Guts, arms, legs, whatever other body part or organ you can imagine was just littered across the streets. Homeless people that looked like they had been completely skinned alive, limping around the streets with bones and guts pouring out of their bodies. And those red fucking eyes. April 20th, 2020. I am now almost directly beneath the helicopters. I was right, the city is completely walled off. The wall looks 10 stories high, but the wall just goes on for miles. I have to find where the entrance is. There has to be some kind of checkpoint or entrance that can lead people and slash out of the city. My car is acting up though. It just drives differently than I'm used to. I don't know why. April 20th, 2020. I did it. I found the checkpoint. I'm driving up to it now. Everything that has happened this week is rushing through my head in flashes. The crowds of homeless walking by the hotel. The dead homeless guy in the alley and his resurrection. Anna getting bitten by one and then disappearing. Every other employee at the hotel, along with the entirety of Santa Monica disappearing. Alan and wherever he disappeared to. Everything is coming together now. Everything is going to be okay. I'm going to get out safely. Despite everything coming together, there was still one thing that made me uncomfortable. My car being unlocked. My car driving differently. What was that metal crashing sound when I was going up to the roof? Whatever. None of that matters now. I see people. Actual people. No blood, no bones, no guts, and most of all, no red eyes. Instead, I see military camo outfits and assault rifles. I would take that over the ladder any day. I'm finally safe. I felt a smile crack on my face for the first time in what felt like years. I'm finally safe. Incident report. April 20th, 2020, Santa Monica. 3 deceased, 1 civilian, 2 soldiers. Civilian approached us in his car. He got out his car with his hands up and shouted, "I'm not one of them." We sent Gronkowski and Rogers out to meet the civilian and check for bite marks. They did a quick search of his body and did not find any. He was not one of the redacted. In a measure of safety, we had to check his vehicle to make sure he wasn't sneaking anybody or anything in. Rogers checked the front, while Gronkowski checked the back. Last place to check was the trunk. Rogers and Gronkowski drew their weapons and had the civilian open up the trunk as the final inspection. The civilian opened up the trunk and, redacted, lunged itself at the civilian. This one was huge, probably around 300 pounds. The redacted bit the civilian and managed to get a bite out of Rogers too before he was put down. Rogers and the civilian were on the floor bleeding out. 𝐒𝐡𝐞𝐫 started walking back to the checkpoint. We could not take the risk. We left the door locked. 𝐒𝐡𝐞𝐫 tried everything to get in, screamed, even shot the door, but the bullet did not penetrate our bulletproof plating. Rogers and the civilian then stood up and had red in their eyes. They had become one of the redacted. They ran up behind 𝐒𝐡𝐞𝐫 and took bites out of him as well. All three are confirmed to have become redacted.